3 key things that are different about being an in-house SEO versus an SEO in an agency, with Paige Hobart. The In Search SEO podcast is brought to you by Rank Ranger, the all-in-one SEO platform that helps scale your business through data and analytics. Hey, it's David. Are you currently working in an agency and quietly wondering what life might be like working in-house? I'm joined today by a lady who made that very jump. She's spoken at several events, including Brighton SEO and SMX London, is the former head of SEO at Roast, and the current SEO manager at Unily. A warm welcome to the In Search SEO podcast, Paige Hobart.
Thank you, David. Lovely to be here. Always lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, you too as well. Thanks so much for coming on. Well, you can find Paige over at unily.com. So, Paige, you said a few bullets to me beforehand about the difference between working in-house versus working agency side. And one point jumped out at me. Living the dream.
Oh my God, yeah. So I've only been in-house for 2 months now. Not long at all. But the big reason for me shifting was work-life balance. Like, agency has been an amazing way for me to be a good SEO that has a huge amount of knowledge, been exposed to so much stuff. But I just wanted to reassess things. I think a lot of people did after the pandemic. What do I want in life? What do I want my work-life balance to be? So the week before I started this job, I got a second dog, a rescue puppy. And there's nothing that will force you to take breaks from your PC, like toilet training a new puppy. So we're a couple of months in now, she's fine. But just the work-life balance, I can really reclaim it. The guys at Unily are genuinely very flexible. I know a lot of companies will always say, yeah, we're totally flexible. Yeah, it's all hybrid and we trust you. But then you get there and you're like, we all have to be on a certain day. You have to be seen to be working and it's not quite what you expect it to be. But it's literally the dream at Unily. They just leave me to get on with what I need to get on with. They know that I'm very driven, just generally, that I'm going to be pushing the brand out there in things like this and going to Brighton and going to all the events and seeing the amazing people that I know and love in the SEO community, whilst just being able to go for a dog walk every lunchtime and do work. Like, I'll have like very productive hours. That might be in the morning, that might be at 7:00 at night, and I'll just like get my head down and get things done. But other times I might need to just tidy up the chaos of dog toys around the house.
So I mean, obviously every in-house role is different, but
yes.
Your particular role, you don't have an SEO team at the moment. So
no.
Is that the intention to stay like that? Do you actually prefer, is it easier to work nowadays perhaps by doing things like outsourcing different elements of what you do and not having to have employees?
Yeah, that's been definitely the biggest shift from from a team of 18 SEOs underneath me to just me on my own doing it. It was a huge change and I really didn't know what to expect. I said to the team when I left, I think that's going to be the biggest culture shock, just not having that team of SEOs around me. But it has been great. It's been really nice that the people I collaborate with are the developers, the infrastructure team, the content writers, the product team, the client success team, sales. Like, all of these different people are the ones that I am kind of pulling together and getting their advice from, their steer. And it's very different, but in a really lovely way, to be the only SEO and just bring all these people together.
I can certainly relate to what you're saying there, because I mean, I've managed SEO teams in the past as well, and I'm also kind of working mostly by myself at the moment. And but I can also look back and think, well, I'm kind of glad that I got that managerial experience. Do you think that it's advisable for most people to try to get that type of experience before going into the kind of role that you're in at the moment?
100%. I wouldn't have changed my career today at all. Like, I think doing 7.5, 8 years in agency has not only exposed me to so much SEO and all the variations that comes in, but actually managing a team, supporting a team has been one of the greatest pleasures of my life. Like I have 3 little cards that sit on my windowsill in my home office that are from people, 2 that I've managed directly and 1 colleague, just saying like, thank you for always being supportive. Thank you for helping with their careers. And they are genuinely the things that I'm proudest of in my career to date. Like, speaking at events is amazing. Being on stage and meeting loads of people I'm hugely proud of, like being on the main stage at Brighton twice. But actually, like helping those people is the most heartwarming and proudest thing that I've ever done. So I definitely think having those managerial skills is so rewarding. And would definitely advise that. It also helps now that I am having to communicate with people from different teams, different levels. Managing a team of almost 20 people means that you're having to communicate to different personality types quite a lot. And whether it's your team or whether it's like clients and different stakeholders, those communication skills are invaluable when you have to deal with like developers that are maybe very left or right brain, and then like the creatives at the other end. You just have to like really hone in how you speak to people and like how are they going to help you and you going to help them, and you just sell it in very differently.
I was going to ask you actually as a follow-up, what's one thing that you're doing in your current role more effectively as a result of having that managerial experience? But you're kind of actually answered that by talking about stakeholders, and there are other people in the organization that you have to a certain degree sell things to and get them on board in order to be more effective at what you do. Is that really the answer to that one?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And like one of the things that I was thrown into within the first few weeks of me joining Unily was our big annual conference, Unite. So I wasn't doing any SEO for that week. I was at the venue, answering emails that had issues, helping get coffee for the people presenting, make sure the live stream was good, and just like being in the buzz of it all, which was just super fun and completely not what I would do day to day. But you just learn so much having to deal with different people, and you just learn different skills, and it's nice to change things up a little bit.
One thing you also shared is kind of point 2, you're not doing anything hugely advanced. You're just focusing on good, solid SEO. I guess a concern for SEOs moving from agency side is they might be moving from maybe cutting edge SEO or looking after massive sites to perhaps doing tasks that they might find a little bit more simple. Was that a concern of yours, and how do you deal with that?
Not so much. I think it depends on where you're going. My ex-colleague Matt has gone to, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, might be able to, it's on his LinkedIn. Else. He's gone to Moonpig. So it's a huge e-commerce platform across multiple countries. Now, he's having to still do quite high-tech SEO. He needs to be visible in all these countries with millions and millions of pages. I've gone B2B, where there's maybe a couple of thousand pages, there's less than 200 pillars of content that I need to resolve. And I'm actually in the perfect position as an SEO where they have created lots and lots and lots of good content, but it's all kind of all over the place and competing with each other. So I just need to like edit, add some hierarchy, like pull all that content together and really show Google and other search engines, this is the page I want to rank. These are the supporting bits of content, and this is how the website is strung together. So it's not like massively advanced at this point. I think we're going to do a bit more international. There's a English and the German speaking, but I think we'll do more languages as we progress. So I know that there's more advanced things on the horizon, but I'm actually enjoying just pulling it all back and getting some really solid foundations in my first few months before all the fun, exciting stuff. Like we've not even looked at SERP features yet. So, that's my jam as well.
So have you also had to think about what this career move may mean for your future career? I mean, you might be at Unily for a few years, maybe many years, but obviously you're not unlikely to retire straight after that. So perhaps for, future career moves after that, if there are other career moves, have you thought about what this role will mean for that? Because obviously, if someone is thinking about perhaps moving in-house, then I guess a concern would be boxing them in to a certain type of business and not being able to deal with so many different types of businesses at the same time.
Absolutely. I think that's a very sensible concern to have. I think if you've done a good stint in agency, that you'll always have that kind of background of multiple different industries, that experiences of working with those different websites. But I guess for future career, to get quite deep, I'm a 30-year-old woman. I don't know what this decade could be kids, could be house stuff, could be other massive life events. I'm engaged, so I'm going to get married at some point. Not anytime soon. Want a loft extension first. But I think what this career move has done is just give me the space to think about life next to work. Whereas agency is like work, some life, some life on the side. But yeah, I don't know. Like my 30s to up to when I'm 40 could be just unily living my life, doing solid SEO. Of course, you've got all the amazing SEO communities out there, like Brighton SEO, Women in Tech, all sorts of stuff where you can still feel like you're part of something and that you are learning and progressing and meeting new people and having new ideas without necessarily needing that in your day-to-day job.
Yeah, I love the sound of what you're saying there. You certainly sound really comfortable and relaxed and satisfied in where you are at the moment. That's a wonderful place to be.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? I imagine people listening to this absolutely hate me.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot to say for following what you love to do and doing a great job at that and just finding opportunities as a result from that, but not necessarily trying to plan everything out, because I think people are generally with companies, organizations for a lot less time than they used to be. I mean, there's no such thing really as a job for life nowadays. So you've got to follow the path that you feel is best for yourself. And we kind of started off with you talking about living the dream, having a good work-life balance. But you also talked about you coming from agency side that's a little bit more fast-paced. Do you think it's not really possible for people who are earlier on in their careers, maybe agency side or maybe in a tougher, challenging role in-house, to actually have that balance? Do you think people earlier on in their careers should be working harder and not having so much of a balance?
That is such the trending topic, isn't it? Like, should 20-somethings be all about the grind and all about that? Or it's funny because Unily is an employee...
Hustle, that's the word, isn't it?
The hustle culture, yeah, exactly. Unily is an employee experience platform. So for huge enterprise companies, we provide basically an intranet where you can find out everything you could possibly need to in one place. That means that we do talk about things like quiet quitting and employee experience and employee life cycles and satisfaction. And it's a really interesting take from what I've experienced, which is like the hustle culture. Agency, you work, and you will progress. You absolutely will. If you are hardworking, you'll progress fast. Like, I was head of SEO by the time I was 30. That's mental. Like that is pretty cool. In this fast-paced kind of SEO world, you can progress really quickly, really fast. I do think you will do that better agency side if you are very early on in your career in-house. I'm not sure you'll progress as quickly. Generally in-house, you're waiting for that person to leave or die to get their job. But also you're not going to be as exposed to other industries, other website types, other problems, other people, other stakeholders and personality types. So I would recommend, like the career path I've taken, I would recommend to most SEOs if you want to progress fast but get really exposed. And then, as my ex-colleagues lovingly described it, as retiring to in-house.
So agencies are a better place to start off if you're keen, if you love SEO, if you want to make an impact in the industry. Be in agencies for maybe 5 to 10 years and then look at an in-house role after that.
I would say so. And then I think you're bringing a lot of value to that in-house role because you've been exposed to so much. But early on in your career, you're surrounded by a team of SEOs. I think going into this job, if I'd done this 5 years ago, it would have been terrifying because I would have constantly been second guessing myself. I do still second guess myself. I do still WhatsApp my old team being like, am I mad? This is the way to do this, right? But yeah, I think it can be, we all know that imposter syndrome is such a prevalent thing in SEO because you just can't know. And even when you think you've done everything right, sometimes it still doesn't work. So it can be incredibly daunting to just be out there on your own, trusting just yourself. So I do think early on in your career, having a team of SEOs around you is amazing. And I mean, you might get that in-house at some of the huge comparison websites, I'm sure, have huge teams of SEOs with people that you can learn from and be exposed to lots of different things. So yeah. I think it depends, to use the phrase. Just having that size of team and support around you early in your career, you'll just learn so much more.
Absolutely. So if someone is at the stage that you were, a few years experience in agency side and actually thinking of potentially working in-house, how do you go about selecting the type of role that ideally you want to work in? I mean, you've said that you decided to actually work in B2B, work for a website that's maybe just got a couple of thousand pages or so. You could have gone, I'm sure, B2C or other larger websites as well. How did you make the decision that you made, and how would you advise other people to make the decision?
Yeah, really good question. I actually just spoke to some recruiters about what it was I was looking for. There were definitely faster paced, bigger brands that were slipping into my LinkedIn DMs that could have been a big move for me. But then this kind of just seemed too good to be true. It's 40-minute drive from my house, completely remote if I want it to be, or going to the office however I want to be. Really chill. The interview process was a big tell of that this is a right fit for me. Being agency side, I'm quite used to very informal ways of working. I'm not going to walk into a huge corporate and be that person that fits in. So it was really nice that everything was really informal and you just get a good vibe from people. So I think just interview for a lot of things. Really think about what it is that you want from that career move. You might want to be way more challenged day to day. You might still be hungry for it. In which case, do e-commerce or something that's way more fast-paced or a bit more exciting than B2B. But I'm just finding all sorts of fun opportunities still. There's always something that you can be doing extra. I've been doing a few talks with Andy Cresadina about CRO. So pulling those learnings into my day-to-day and being like, let's get some client testimonials on these pages. It's not technically SEO, but it is going to help me because it's going to demonstrate EAT. It's going to be good for CRO. Absolutely, I want this because I want to make sales at the end of the day. I don't just want rankings because I've worked in SEO long enough to know that that's not good enough to stay in a job. So I need to make some money for this business.
Well, let's finish off with
the Pareto pickle.
So Pareto says that you can get 80% of your results from 20% of your efforts. What's one SEO activity that you would recommend that provides incredible results for modest levels of effort?
Oh, that's so hard. So one thing that I'm doing at the moment is just providing a good content hierarchy. So making sure that you have mapped out and you understand what are your pillar pages, what are your core pages that you want to rank, and what is your supporting content. And making sure you get that balance of supporting rather than competing right can be tricky, but just make sure you've got your good internal linking, that your main page is well optimized, that your other pages, that you know what the KPIs are for. Is that supplementary content supposed to rank for anything? It doesn't have to. It could just be a nice timely blog post that demonstrates your expertise in that industry. That's fine. Just add a nice internal link from that to your core page. Nice and easy. Don't make life hard for yourself.
That's a great thought to finish up with. I've been your host, David Bain. You can find Paige over at unily.com. Paige, thanks so much for being on the In Search SEO podcast.
Thanks so much, David. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for listening. Check out all the previous episodes and sign up for a free trial of the Rank Ranger platform over at rankranger.com.